Great. Hi, welcome everybody. Baruch Hashem decided that our SAI is going to be bigger and better this year. So we are here today. A special thank you to our hosts who are hosting Limit to this. Machon Leihadis. Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, you just press like that. Is that better? Yeah, there you go. Yay. Okay, perfect. Yay. So special shout out to Machon Leihadis. They have been so gracious and so wonderful, and they have allowed us to use their space for a little bit. If somebody could. Okay, so the idea behind systematic avodah initiative, and our speaker is about to arrive, Be'ez Hashem. But we want to do an introduction to the general program. So all of our Farangans are free. Everyone's welcome to come at any point in time. You're always invited. Generally, most of our events are free. And for Elul and Tishrei, we do an amazing program, which you can be a part of by registering. And the program is based on this book called 60 Days. Rabbi Simon Jacobson wrote this book, and it has one short and sweet page of reading per day of Elul and per day of Tishrei. And the beauty behind this is that when I moved to Crown Heights and I got married, I have children, I started to realize that my Elul just wasn't feeling the same. Like we're constantly saying like, okay, I'm going to prepare for Elul. Like I'm going to learn something for Tishrei. I don't want to get to Tishrei and not be inspired. Or sometimes we're just so busy with the hustle and bustle that we totally forget until like we light candles for Rosh Hashanah. And there we are. Like, oh, I haven't learned anything. I haven't really thought about this thing. What is going on? So, the first year I said, okay, we have to change this. We have to find some sort of solution where we can get inspiration in short, digestible bites, where it isn't a whole mimer, a whole thing, a multi-class situation, but we can still be inspired and we can still gain from the time. So that's what we came up with. We came up with reading this book together as a group. The first year I tried doing it by myself. Sorry. If I weren't on recording, I would scream louder. The first year, I decided to do it by myself, and I literally read probably like 15 days worth, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna need a group effort. So then the next year, I said, okay, let's do it as a group. And then all of us together made it probably to Yom Kippur, I'm pretty sure, kind of as a group. And I was like, okay, we need a little more. It needs a little more enticement, a little more excitement. So then we started adding Farangans every other week, which really got the ball rolling because we're gathering together. We have someone coming to Farang for us. It is just so much more exciting. And then afterwards, I realized that sometimes we could read and skim the whole page and not really like get it. We didn't really think about it. But journaling every day doesn't make sense. And it's too hard, at least for me. I think there's one person who manages to journal every day. But other than that, most other people have managed to do once a week. So I encouraged that everyone should do at least one journal entry a week. And as you can see at the bottom of the page, there's a little ask yourself or a little exercise for the day. You can journal on any of those and just pick one day a week that you would like to journal on. We even provide you with a journal and a pen. You literally come prepared in every way, shape, and form. And not only that, yes, not only that, but we even created a system that when you do your readings and your journals, then you get prizes. Because who doesn't want prizes? Who doesn't want their Nefesh Bahamas to get enticed by something nice? We've given out Svarim, we've given out gift cards to different places, we've given out trips to different places, we've given out jewelry and matchstick trays, and we've given out matchboxes, and we've given out all kinds of amazing things. Baruch Hashem, We're really into our prizes. So we have the amazing opportunity that doing your daily reading, not only do you grow spiritually, but also you really make that effort, and your Nefesh Bahamas also gets a prize. And for anyone who's done the journey a few years, Baruch Hashem, I think this is our 7th or 8th year doing this program. We decided that we're gonna make it a little bit interesting, because reading the same book for some people might be a little hard to do it every year to year. So we created another book with a few extra readings and deeper questions for you to exercise or like journal on. So you get to think about the reading a little bit deeper and take it, the next step. So this is the other book that we have available, and we have 60 days. And for everyone who's already signed up, we're going to provide you with your journal, your pen, and your opportunity to earn prizes at every Farbrengen. Be'ezus Hashem, our next Farbrengen, all of our Farbrengens are generally Monday nights, so save out your Monday nights. But yeah, Baruch Hashem. But yesterday was Labor Day, so we did not want to do a Monday night event on Eastern Parkway on Labor Day. Hence today's Tuesday. So that is the gist of the program. Now, we are so excited to have an incredible speaker. And before that, I forgot. Today's Farbrengen is in Schos, and a happy birthday to Yosef ben Sharon. So Baruch Hashem, we should have only brachos and revealed good in every way, shape, and form. And his whole family should have nachas from him, and he should give the Rebbe nachas, Hashem nachas, and everyone should be awesome. An incredible year of strength and chizuk and awesomeness. So with that, I would like to introduce our amazing speaker. It's really funny how Hashem man plans and Hashem laughs. And we had a speaker scheduled for today, and Baruch Hashem, for very good news, which I can't publicize just yet, but she had to cancel last minute. And I have to give a great sauce to Nama. I think tonight is actually her birthday. Nama Bennett is the bomb, and we love her so much. And tonight's her birthday. Not only that, but she helped make the connection to an awesome Farbrengener for us. So I would like to introduce Rabbi Mendy Wolf. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much.
I can sit or
yes, you can sit.
Yeah.
Oh, you was. Yes. Can you see everybody here? Yes. Okay. So yes, you're all set. Yeah. Not a bother at all.
I'll put it in Islamic house. This is a Chassidish house. Okay. So El, if you ask in other, my voice gets loud more. In other Kreisen, in other communities, you ask someone to talk about Elul, it makes everybody cry. But Ibdus Hashem b'simcha. Everything is b'simcha. I'll start off with a small story. I heard it this Shabbos, and it's just an introduction to Elul. A funny story, but it's a true story. So in Israel, there's always different controversies going on in Israel. And so there was someone that came into Yechidus, a chassid, and he lived in a neighborhood where the rabbi there was making him crazy. How come the Rebbe doesn't make a big fuss out of from a Yid not going in Arabais? That's what this from a rabbi was telling this Lubavitch chassid. He says, next time you go into Yechidus, ask the Rebbe. So he came into the Yechidus and he asked the Rebbe, he says, I have this rabbi in my community, and he's making me, he keeps on asking me this question. First, the Rebbe asked him, is he lekant? Is he just making fun? Is he just trying to tease you? No, he actually means it. So the Rebbe answered a profound answer. The Rebbe says, I've never seen someone be disordered. The Yiddishkeit from a loisase. I've never seen someone inspired by don't do that. I'd rather focus on tefillah and on positive things because that brings the Yid closer. So Elul is not a time to make the don'ts. Elul is a time to inspire the do's. And if you do it, you refrain from the don'ts. So our focus is simcha. Our focus, yes, there's a lot to talk about. Letting go. But the focus is not the letting go. The focus is moving forward. To move forward, you gotta let go. You saw these people that jump, they have to like have like a little bit of going back, and then they go forward. They're not thinking about going back. They're not depressed about past. They're busy moving forward. So yeah, there is a busy topic and a heavy topic called letting go. There is a busy, heavy topic called forgiving and forget and all these heavy words. But it's not really heavy because we're busy moving forward. So we have to let go of the weight that keeps us back. So it's not about the past. It's about the forward. This is an important introduction to Elul. Elul is not about, yeah, it's a month of reckoning. It's a month of reflection. But we're not heavy with ourselves. We're heavy with the goal, which makes it easy. Let's make this practical. Let's make this practical. So there's a Hayom Yom, and I'm going to open up with that. What are you going to talk about now? Get closer to the Avish, though. What do you talk about now? So there's a Hayom Yom that gives away everything. The Hayom Yom goes like this. If a person wants to get closer to the Avish there, you want to love the Avish, you have to love. Avas Yisrael is a kili for Avas Hashem. This is a very heavy Hayom Yom. And what this really means is, I'm going to put it in simple words. It's very easy to go to a shir. It's extremely hard to let go of a grudge. Change is where the kishkis are, not where the brownie points are, not where the badges are. Let's go to the kishkis. And when you hit the kishkis, you're running. You're not walking. You're not step-toe. You're not tiptoeing because you're on fire. Letting go of grudges, letting go, which is really the core of Avos Yisrael. What's Avos Yisrael? Inviting someone for supper. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Avos Yisrael really is allowing the Ava. You know, it's easy to love strangers. Very easy. It's very hard to love neighbors. You love strangers, but neighbors, don't talk to me about my neighbor. I know too much about them to love them. That's how it goes, right? But really, Ahav is something we have to let go of the things that disturb the Ahav. And that's really what Elul is all about. So I want to talk about letting go. What that means, a heavy word. There's beautiful stories, and they're saying in English, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I don't know if this is written or not written, but let it be written. I think a story is worth 1,000 pictures. And that's why we say Hamaisa Leikir. That's why Teresh Biksav is Mises. Because a story is reality. Not idealistically speaking, it should be that way. But a story demands, because if it was, and especially a story of, say a story of a Rebbe, the Rabbeim actually say that. The story of Rabbeim inspire. But there's always a thought in our heads, that's a Rebbe. What do you want from me? I'm not that Rebbe. You hear a story of Chassidim, it tickles. It doesn't only inspire. It tickles. Like if he can do it, 1 second, then why am I not doing it? It's almost embarrassing when you hear another story. It creates jealousy, in a good way. And that's what we want to do. We want to tickle ourselves. We want to tickle ourselves. So the first story that I like is a story, about 3 or 4 stories that I want to share. First one is of the Mendel Futterpass. This is a story that happened back when behind the Iron Curtain. There's a little bit of an introduction that I want to give to the story. We're very used to living here, and just want to put some reality to the story. Imagine you live in a community where your next door neighbor could be your muster. A muster is a informer. And I'm not talking about a goy, I'm talking about a chassidish yid. This is not so much spoken about. And I'm not, and the point of mentioning this is not to mention negativity, but to awaken ourselves to the beautiful lifestyle that normal people like us had back then. So imagine you have a next door neighbor who comes from a mishpach of chassidim like you, but nebach, under torture. He was forced to give over names. And once you give over the name, you have to give it over again. Otherwise, there's a lot of things that happen, including the family, wife, children. It's not like he volunteered. It's under torture. So here's a story that I heard firsthand. So this chassid shares that his father stayed in Russia because of a certain Muslim. Stayed in Russia. He was informed by someone informed on him, and that's why he didn't get it. Had to leave Russia. He didn't get the visa. The informer, everybody knew who he was. There was another chassid who lived in the community. That informer finally got papers to live, and he felt bad. So he traveled to Samarkand, like the last point where they left, to talk to Mendel because of his guilt. He felt terrible about what he caused his fellow chassidim to go through. And Mendel sat with him and shared with him he's going to Yichidus the Rebbe. The Rebbe, by the way, told all the chassidim that came out of Russia not to share. We don't know. This family's living here, that their next door neighbor, the older chassidim, know who was Yossel the Musser, Yankel the Musser. Everybody knew it. They knew it was common knowledge who was who, but you won't hear it. The next generation doesn't. They kept it shut. They didn't share. Rebbe asked them, so let's go. So he came to the man. He was bringing with Mendel, and he told Mendel he feels very bad. And Mendel gave him a ticket. Ticket means an Elul, a chodesh Elul. He gave him a chodesh Elul, something to reflect on, to help him turn to a new page. This person, so bringing shares, he said that his father heard this muster met with Mendel, was furious. He took a train to Samarkand to go to Mendel to complain. How dare you speak? He was so upset. Now you can understand him. Of course. Came to Mendel and he said, Mendel, how dare you speak to this fellow? You know what he did to me? You know what? You know where my family is because of him? So Mendel told them we were taught in Tanya that we have to learn from Yosef and his brothers. Yosef told the brothers, Hashem Shalachan, from the Eivishter. So he didn't take no Tanya. No Tanya. No Tanya. Told Mendel, your wife is in England, so you can Tanya me. But my wife and children are stuck here in Russia. What do you want from me? So Mendel told him online. I had to think about this line. You can't live a good life if you don't implement the Sefer. Not luxury, not Tanya. It's simply a choice of life. If we live a heavy life, or if you live a light life. These are heavy words. What does this mean? Let me share another story. We'll talk about this. I like the story a lot because Mendel didn't just Tanya. Mendel told him in simple English. Do you want to walk around like a grumpy fellow? Some people walk down the sidewalk and they feel every step of the sidewalk. Like they can tell you where there's cement has caves in the sidewalk because they're so face down walking on the sidewalk. almost like this, like the bikes that bump every time it's a sidewalk. And some people don't even remember where they walk because they were busy thinking about something else that was carrying them, and they're skipping down the street. So the Mendy was telling him, this is not a choice that we have. This is it's not a luxury, but it's a necessity. Okay, very nice. Let me tell you one more story, then we'll talk. Second story is a story that happened also here in Crown Heights. And it's a story of, there was a family here that every Purim, he would send also both survivors of Stalin. And every Purim, he would send his son, give Mishleach Manas to his friend here in Crown Heights. He'd send his son, and his son observed something very odd in this Mishleach Manas ceremony. Usually, Purim, you go to someone's house, it's a bissel freil. It's not Tishrei. There's a difference between Tishrei on the calendar and Purim, right? There's a very big deal. Tishrei, you come in, some people are mahader in Tishrei, they cry a lot, they cry a little, but there's a Purim, there's an atmosphere of Purim. But when he came to this other chassid's house, he felt like robots. He's giving him a mishleach manas, he takes it and he closes the door. So he didn't pay attention. He blamed it on the older generations. A lot of different things we can blame on people before we actually discover the whole story. Right now in Russia, they have a new they declassified a lot of documents. Anybody who has family can go down to Russia, prove with their family, and you can actually pick up the actual documents of the arrest with the Russians were like the Nazis. They had a detailed account of every single moment with names documented. Who was the muster, what they did, how they tortured you. I heard recently at a Fabringen, this is how the documents look. Someone was saying he got documents. There's a Russian sitting at the table, not a Russian, a chassid that comes from Russia, speaks Russian. He said, you can't read those documents. He said, they could. I got the transcriber and I got it. He said, yeah, tell me what happened. So he starts telling him. 9 o'clock was the arrest. 10 o'clock started interrogation. So what happened afterwards? And it says 11 o'clock, the person interrogated admitted 3 names. And it said which names that are his acquaintances. And we marked it down. Then it was quiet from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Suddenly 3 o'clock they have in the transcripts. We explained to whatever his name is, this Yidden Jew, that in Mother Russia we don't lie. And he shared with us 10 more names. So this chassid from Russia says, what do you think happened from 11 to 3? They literally explained to him that you don't lie in Russia. I'll tell you what they did. He says, anybody sitting in the interrogation seat, the wall behind them was red. That's what they did. That's how they explained it. And they have that all in the interrogations. So you can imagine getting these papers. They tortured him. That's what they did. So no one gave information freely. Bottom line is he went to Russia. This person's son went to Russia and he got his father's papers. And he saw in the papers who his father's muster is. Came back home. His tie was in Russia. He didn't tell his father. And I have the papers. And watch his father turn colors. And his father says, can you give me the papers? Sure. His father went to the other room and burnt them. Came back into the room and he says, I don't want you to see who my muster is. I already saw it. And I know who it is. It's the person you send Mishleach Manas to every year. What's up? Why are you sending that person Mishleach Manas? I sit at the Shabbos table every year and I hear all of these stories of what you went through, and that's who I'm visiting? He caused it. How can I even step into his house? His father told him, when we came back from Russia, we made a conscious decision that we were not in jail because of everyone. It's too complicated. and we let go. I send him a shleach manas every year because I wanted him to know that I don't attribute my jail to him. And he, in turn, doesn't celebrate that Purim festivity. When you're walking in, it's his expression of his Abbas Yisrael to me, of how he is consciously another time letting go of the past and feeling like that past is not something he wants to be connected to. So he and I have our moment Purim where we connect internally saying we are one. Yes, there was a past, but we move forward. And that's our way of doing it. And you were the Shliach Hamid. Good. So you have two nice stories of two Chassidim, not the Rebbes. They also enjoyed exactly what we enjoy. But the question we have is these are beautiful stories that tell us that they were able to let go. But what does it mean to let go? How do you let go? Yeah, it's easy. It's a lot. It tickles more to hear that someone let go, not a chassid from the Alter Rebbe, and not someone, but these were people these were regular people. You know their names? Their names were I think the second story was published in one of the magazines, but I don't know for sure. But there's a name attached to it. It's a name that probably everybody around this table heard about this family. There's a real name, and he's a regular person walking down, jogging in the morning. Sometimes you see the 80-year-olds jogging in the morning. You ever saw it? He's jogging in the morning. So he's one of those people. He's not someone who doesn't know how to jog. He knows how to jog. He knows how to take care of himself, but he also knows how to let go. Well, what? What did they do? What does it mean? What do these words mean? One more story. One more story. So this is also a story of Rabbi Mendy. By the way, I don't know if you realize, but every time I hear stories of Rabbi Mendy, why do I always pick him? Because he's a very interesting person. How many people do you know that in jail talk to pickpocketers and to talk to tightrope walkers? And I don't know, he had a very fascinating journey in his jail situation. He came back with these stories that you couldn't come back from your vacations from. It almost seems like he went on vacation. And he came back with a lot of stories and he peppered them throughout Fabringans and we shared them till today. And I'm not making a joke. What I'm saying is it takes a personality to do that. And I don't mean to say personality, but it takes a mentality to do that. You know, life is not what we have, but life is how we respond. Life is how we react. And you see consistently in the stories of what he shares is that he was a very inquisitive fellow, very inquisitive. He's talking to anybody and everybody that he met in jail, as you'll soon see. And B, he came up with very practical lessons to take out of it. So this story talks to me a lot. Beautiful story. Mendel shares again another story. He's in jail in Sibir, and there's something called roll call. In camps, they have it too. But the difference between the way they have it in camps, the way they have it in jail is a very big difference. In jail, one of the purposes of roll call is to dehumanize the people in jail. They don't want to call it the subjects, the numbers. That's why they call them numbers. No one has a name. They call you by the number. What's the idea? It's a psychological way of telling you you are worth nothing. You are a subject of Stalin. You are part of Stalin's regime. That's who you are. Mendel sitting there, standing there in roll call, and he sees there's one peasant after roll call. Roll call is pretty early. He goes to the side. And he starts like gesturing with his hands, closing his eyes, gesturing with his hands, and talking to himself, like you see here in Kingston Avenue a lot of times, or in the subways. If Remendel had been in Crown Heights, he wouldn't have any questions. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. This is something common that we have in this neighborhood. But anyway, in jail, he never saw this before. He was very curious. What's going on over here? So the first day he thought it's a fluke. This person maybe lost some beans and he's going to the corner and happens to jail. But he saw every day the same exact Mishigas. Now, Mishigas usually tends to be different because that's what Mishigas is. But this was so perfectly Mishiga every day at the same time and the same gestures that it came a time he says, Rabbi Goy, not Rabbi Yid, right? Peasant, whatever you are, Ivan, what's going on over here? Like, yeah, you think about it. When no one was in jail, Baruch Hashem. But imagine, you know, you go to a guy, these people in jail, you stop picking up conversations with them. So just tell me what's your story. So the person tells him like this. I'll tell you my story. Before I came to jail, I was a top general in Stalin's army. Top general. Stalin purged anybody of authority. Dictators don't want anybody too smart, which equals to too powerful, which equals to threat. So you purged rabbis, priests, and also military, powerful military people. He I was a very experienced general. I came to jail and I said, okay, I'll make it through. I'll come in, I'll come out. One thing got to me. I realized as time was going on in jail, I'm losing something that I can't afford to lose. What was I losing? He says, I'm a general. My mindset is a mindset of a general. I send my soldiers to war. You know what it means to send thousands of soldiers to war? You know what it means to plan? It takes a leader. It takes a strategic thinker. It takes a forward-thinking person. But as I came through jail, they started calling me a number. And I started feeling like I belonged to someone. I started feeling that my most precious identity is being robbed. I'm no longer a general, I'm a prisoner. How many times do we complain when we feel like we're in prison because of someone or something that happened to me? Says this goy. I said to myself, I can't afford to lose my engine, my mindset, my sense of independence, my sense of that I have, that will keep me after jail. If they're going to destroy this during the time frame of jail, I'm done because I don't leave the same way I came. I'll be done. And I said, what can I do now during this time frame of jail to avoid their conscious destruction of my sense of self? And I came up with an idea. Every morning after roll call, I went to the corner and I closed my eyes. And I reminded myself who I am. I am not a prisoner. I am a general. I spoke to my soldiers. I sent them to war. And I communicated the authority that I had before I walked into the place called jail. And I allowed myself to re-experience my real identity. I don't belong to anybody. No one will tell me who I am. I will tell them what to do. I'm a general. I refuse to be called prisoner. Yes, a few moments ago, someone called me number. Yes, a few moments ago, someone is telling me what to do. And a few moments later, they'll tell me what to do. But I persevere and I refuse to let my sense of self be squashed because of someone or something that happened to me. And a Mendy used to repeat this. And he says, that is moida ani. That's a Jew waking up. And that's a Jew today waking up with all the things that are thrown at us. And all the people that we feel that are jailing us emotionally. And all the circumstances we live through that we feel that we consistently have to live through. Comes along this guy and teaches us a lesson which is really bitachon. Confidence. Real confidence means I don't belong to anyone. Yeah, technically right now someone can tell me what to do. But I have a deep sense of belonging that precedes them and that will eventually outlive them. Because I refuse. I have a decision that I make in my head. Who do I belong to? Who am I? And that was a lesson I meant to learn from this fellow. The ability of us as individuals to tell ourselves, I don't care what happened to me.
You see, the word I is not selfish. The word I really means purpose. The word I really means that there was someone that put that I here. So some shmendrik that said something to me, because of that, I should feel like a shmendrik. He's a shmendrik. Let him deal with the Eibishter. I'm not going to feel like a shmendrik. And there were big shmendriks in jail. Big shmendriks. And people in charge of jail that acted like more than a shmendrik. But that was the lesson Mendy used to teach afterwards. The ability of us to kind of live within and not respond to the out. Now, one more story that I had. This is a story from not the Mendy and not the Chassid, but from a Yid who didn't learn Chassidus, but yet lives in the upper west side, but yet had this feeling and the need, what it means to let go. Let me share with you a story. So 2 years ago, there was a Jew. His name is Paul, and he met some of the Bachrim Mavtzoyim, and they came to me and they said, we met this Jew, and something odd about our encounter, and they gave me his card. I said, why don't you call him? I run Mavtzoyim, so I called him. Long story short, we ended up meeting. And this is the story he shares with me. I'm sharing the story because it's really not his story, but I believe this is a story we all lived through. In one way or another, we all lived through his story. So it's not only him, but it's probably the story of everybody. This is the story he shares. He, right before COVID, went through not exactly the way he happened to him, but it's a story that we all share in different ways. So he went through a tough separation between him and his spouse. His children sided with his wife. So they cut off relationship with him. They stopped talking to him. He's now 60 something. His children are married with children. And they cut off. The Eniklach don't talk to Zaidi. His shul, he was a big macher in his shul, sided with his wife. So the shul doesn't talk to him. And the rabbi doesn't talk. COVID happened. He got very sick. And the doctors put him on the stretcher in the hallway. They told him, call your loved ones. And he had no one to call. He said he was lying there and he promised tefillin is over. He's mad at God. He's bad. How can the Abishah do this to me? Just went through such a tough time. And here I am lying like a vegetable. And I don't know where I'm going to go. In his mind, he had the opposite of tshuva. He used to be a Yid put on tefillin. He decided, I'm done. Nisim, he survived. He had to go through therapy afterwards to walk a little bit, but he survived. And that's when we met him half a year later. And he says, now you know why I told the boys, I ain't going to put on those tefillin. You can find someone else. I used to be a customer, but I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. So there's no way for me to understand the pain he's going through. Baruch Hashem. I don't have any words to tell him. So the little I can do is we used to talk. Every Friday we would talk. We'd share with him a parsha. We would talk. One Friday, he tells me something that got me riled up. And I lost all my gloves that I usually don't have anyway. And he tells me He says, I'm planning to sue my children, my son. I said, why? Said, because they just had baby, and they're not inviting me for the bris. And I didn't know in America there's something called grandfather's rights. And just like a parent has rights to visit children, a grandparent also has rights to visit grandchildren. So it just didn't sit with me well. Suing your child, you're gonna come in with a marshal's arrest warrant and say, I need to see, and jump into the house, and what are you gonna do? So I just learned that week a sicha, a nice line. Rebbe asks a question. Rebbe says, how is it that Moshe Rabbeinu was born kvad peh v'kvad loshen? You ever thought about this question? The Eibishter knew Moshe Rabbeinu was going to be Goyal Yisrael. Like, you're playing games over here, you're giving someone a job, and then you're creating a speech impediment that he can't do the job that you gave him. Like, who are you fooling exactly? You're the Eibishter. Like, what are you doing over here? You say Moshe is the Goyal Yisrael, so Moshe Rabbeinu should fetch to you that he's Kvad Peh v'Kvad Loshen, but you made him Kvad Peh v'Kvad Loshen. So what are you trying to accomplish with? Doesn't make sense. This is a beautiful line. It's like this. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu was saying something deep. He's saying, I don't have any words. That you ever speak to someone and you feel like, there's no one home? Like, there's no one home. So you're kvad. I mean, people even say, I'm speechless. I just don't have any words to talk to you because I don't know if any words will talk to you. It's like there's no one to talk to. Moshe Rabbeinu told the Eibishter, I'm kvad peh v'kvad loshen to talk to this guy Parei. I don't know what words to talk to him. There's no one home. I'm kvad peh v'kvad loshen, and that's how Begashmis it came out that way. The Eibishter says, don't worry, it's going to come out. It's me talking, not you. It's me, and the emes will make a covenant to an the emes will pierce. There's a time when even Paroi, you got to say it the way it is. So I turned around to him and I asked him a question. I said, Paul, I said, I don't understand. I said, you're going to go to the marshals, you're going to get a court order, and you're going to storm into the house, and you're going to get nachas. You really think you get nachas is an internal feeling of light in the heart, but you're just making your heart even heavier. Like you're adding another brick by forcing yourself into the house to see the baby against, everybody else should be in chains in the corner. And what are you going to accomplish? Like, how is this going to help your heart? How is this going to help you feel better at all? I just don't understand. What are you doing? He says, you're right. But he shot back at me. He says, but you can't imagine the pain I'm under. And I can't sit still. I need to do something. How do I deal with the intense pain that I have? That my ankles bris I'm not invited. How do I deal with it? So I know the Eibishter helps that sometimes words come out of your mouth. So I told him, I don't understand you. You're crying to me about the pain you feel that you can't see your grandchildren. Did you ever think for a moment the pain your father feels that you stop visiting him every morning? Every morning he would wait for you to put on those tefillin. Then you hung up the phone on him. You said, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. How come you're so self-focused on your pain and you don't open up to the pain you're causing others? You're causing him pain. It's intense pain. He wants you. He says, what do you want from me? What are you telling me? I said, I'll tell you what I learned. He said, I learned that in life we have a choice. There are two currencies we have in life. There's a currency called tit for tat. You did, I respond. You did this, I'll respond that. And there's a whole different currency. It's a currency where you decide to throw away the whole game and play a different game. And I told him like this, I said, look, you have every right not to put on tefillin. And who am I to tell you? I never experienced your pain. But I know one thing. if you're able to be the adult in the room and say, yes, God doesn't deserve my tefillah, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to disregard the normal way of doing things. Why? Because I'm not playing the normal game of responding. I'm realizing there's more to life and I don't get everything. And I'm going to kind of let go of the need that I have to feel an ownership on every single thing that happens. So I have to respond. I don't know why it happened. And if you're going to be able to do that, I thought this is the conversation we had. If you're going to be able to do that, I think you have the right to demand from Hashem to do the same. Because if you jump over and have the guts and the audacious to let go and not feel like you're beholden by the actions of someone else, but you're acting on your own, then you turn around to the Abish and you say, you know what? I can go to court and I can pay $100,000 to get a lawyer and have a marshal come in and get in. But the Abishter has the power to change people's hearts. So I'm asking you, I'm jumping over, you jump over. In Chassidus, it's called B'chol Moedacha. We're not jumping the regular game, but we're unleashing an energy we have, which we have the ability to play a new game. It's called turn a new page. Yeah, it's called letting go. It's called the ability for me to say that I'm not in the business of responding, I'm in the business of initiating. So he's a smart man. So he says, Rabbi, I don't make deals on the spur of the moment. I don't make deals. This was a Friday. I'll get back to you Monday. So usually if someone tells that to you, they don't get back to you on Monday. They don't come back to you on Monday. But he did. He did. Called me on Monday. He said, I thought about this. I don't believe that God reciprocates. But I do hear what you're saying, to be the man in the room. And I will start to put on tefillin. And I will put myself in that frame of mind of initiating, starting a new page, and not living constantly swallowing myself in the past. I'm starting from today. This was Parshas Boyes when we had this conversation. Took probably it's a few months till you get to Lag Boimer. Lag Boimer, he calls me. And Lag Boimer was a big parade. And he's calling nonstop. So I call him. I said, well, what's up? By the way, his name is Pesach. Interestingly enough, his Hebrew name is Pesach. That was one of my inspirations. I said, your name is Pesach. Pesach, there's a lot. Pesach is about jumping. So he tells me, Lag Boimer, his son called him. And his son told him, Bezeh Lashon. He says, Ta, Dad, I haven't spoken to you for a while. But lately I've been thinking, maybe it's good to give you a call. Talk. Oh, there's one more thing I told him. One more thing I told him is that you should call your son every Friday. You have to make a keli begashmis, not just baruchnos. And call your son. He won't pick up, but leave him a voicemail and say, oh, what's up, a voice note, whatever, and say, hi, this is Dad, calling to wish you a good Shabbos. I love him. But I don't love him. I said, you do. Say it anyway. Because that's really, tell me the truth. You're a parent. There's a lot of stuff going on between, but you got to go behind it. Have the ability to be the parent again. And he did it every Friday. He would call, give a message. Son calls him Lag Boimer. He says, Dad, we didn't speak for a while. I decided to call you. Call him. What's going on? And they end up talking and connecting. And then he calls me back. He says, I'm continuing with the tefillin and talking to my son. I didn't believe it's going to happen. But my son called me. My son called me out of nowhere. And I'll tell you what I take out of the story. They ended up connecting. They ended up, they has a Nefesh Bahamas regardless. A few months later, he stopped putting on tefillin. That's how it works. He has what he wanted. And that's how you have to remind him. You did it already. That's how life works. We get used to things. But what I liked about the story is here you have a Yid. I told him he's an inspiration for me to be able to let go of pain and call someone who wronged you is probably the strongest thing you could ever do in life. And here's a word that here's a thought that I want to share. I don't think where Tanya tells us that we have to tell everybody who did something wrong to us, you're right. There's no place in Tanya that says that. There's a differentiation between letting go and telling a person who wronged you, oh, you should go. No. Here's a key difference. What we're doing is we're saying it's not my business what happened in the past. I'm not going to live with that past. I'm depositing that experience of past into someone else. It's not my, if I'm going to live in the past, I don't have a future, I don't have a present. There comes a certain time when, and that's what forgiving really means. Forgiving means what happened in the past is a story that happened. Your cheshbon is what happened with the Yebishter. I don't have to go into, I don't want to deal with that. I'm letting go of the story. This is an easier step in the word forgiving and in the word, because it's a very heavy word. How can who are you to forgive someone that did that? That's his, but saying it's his cheshbon is already easier. Not my cheshbon. Let him deal with whoever he has to deal with. Let her deal with whatever she has to deal with. But I feel freer. And that's what simcha really means, a light heart. You know, rocks from Russia is a heavy heart. Simcha means it frees up the heart. The heart has real estate. And the older you get, the less space there is, because it's so packed up with so many experiences. I sometimes wonder how it works. Maybe it's like a sponge. You keep on pushing it more and more and more. Maybe that's why it plots sometimes. I don't know. But then there's a time when you have to just let everything out. You let it out. How do you let it out? There's a recognition. You know what? I am not owned by anybody. That's what he said to the jail story. I'm not owned by anybody. And yes, if I look back in time, that person and that circumstance was demeaning. But I am not the person of that time. When I was 2 years old, I was playing in the mud. And I don't feel second class because when I was 2 years old, I was playing in the mud. And when I was 10, I made a silly mistake. And when I was 16, I made even a sillier mistake. But I am now wherever I am right now. And where I am now is not a continuation of replicating the past, but it's an opportunity for me to create a new. That's what a general really is. Generals don't lose. They're not losers. They're winners. How can you be a loser? How can you be a winner if you're losing the battle right now? Because you're constantly thinking about winning. You're constantly thinking about not responding, but about tricking and about overcoming and circumventing anything that's coming at you. You're not looking to play their game. Comes along, and all these stories that we shared, and it kind of gives us a certain. It's not an ego. And it's a real healthy self, which is, I don't belong to anybody. I was put there by someone who put them here. And anybody who told me and squeaked and squawked and whatever they did, this doesn't define me. That ability to stand above and to be able to tell myself that, yes, there are a lot of things around me. I'm able to push forward. That ability is what letting go really means. It doesn't have to be that I come to him. Yes, if you could call someone and forgive, that's beautiful. But people go around and shul, and it comes like a whole mitzvah. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. It's like it's such a gelechta. It's like the two little kids fighting in the house. A lot of times you say forgive me, they say forgive me. No, say it for real. Forgive me for real. By the shul, forgive me for real. It's one gets gelechta. For real. 3 times chazaka, 3 times chazaka. Then I have a couple of ban. But really, what this really means is we stand up differently. We stand up differently. We think about ourselves differently, I think is the key. So L'chaim, maybe should help that each one of us should take this opportunity. There's an amazing year coming in front of us. It's a year full of opportunities. A lot going on in the world, and a lot going on in everybody's personal life. But I'll finish with this line. We look back, maybe you heard stories about the 6-Day War, the Yom Kippur War. 6-Day War, a lot of stories about because it was in the same time as the hippies, a lot, biggest leaders in the world. There's no question we're living in historic times. And there's no question that there are opportunities in the sense of a heightened awareness that we're experiencing today. Maybe we're used to it, but it's actually happening. Every day there's something going on. Every day there's something that tickles us in many different ways. So it's cash. You got to use the cash and cash it in. You got to do it with something, whatever it is. The ability to let go, I think, is the most beautiful thing we can do personally. It's probably the toughest thing. I think it's the toughest thing to do, but it enriches our life. And that's what Elul is about. Let go, one little step. No one has to know you let go. You'll feel it, and someone's going to say, hey, why are you shining today? Why are you jumping today? It's a weird thing. Someone cries, everybody's like coming around you. They love it. Someone laughs, you say, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you laughing today? What do you mean, what's wrong? That should be the normal thing to laugh. I should be crying. No, crying is normal. I feel good. I feel like I'm in company. Yeah, everybody has what to cry about. But someone's laughing. How dare you laugh? How did you get there? L'chaim, we should all be sit and laugh. Not laughing with sadness, but laughing because that's the way Abishta created people. So you let go. So it becomes a little bit lighter, and then we have the energy to do a lot more. You have the energy to do a lot more. Energy comes from not wasting the energy on the loisases and the don'ts and the things that pull us down. So l'chaim, thank you everybody for listening so carefully and so quietly, and that's the end of my drasha for today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I will share 2 pieces. One is that I wanted to wish a happy birthday to one of our anonymous sponsors. So happy birthday, Hashem Shebench, with only broken feels good. And the other one is that at Living Chassidus we have a tradition where we take a selfie with our speaker. Are you okay? You don't have to move.
No problem.
But if you're up for that, and then after that, if you have a few minutes open up for questions, is that okay?
I'm sitting here. No problem.
Okay, so you guys all know how to do this.
Let me do it. I sit like this. Okay.
Wait, there we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay. Floor is open. I want to start with one question.
Okay.
You just mentioned something about the other person doesn't have to know. Right? Can you delve into that a little bit?
Yeah.
Please.
I think it's very hard to I think it's very hard and sometimes unnecessary to tell someone why sometimes people don't even know that I'm thinking about them and I'm upset about them. They don't even know. But they did something that said something to me. For me to go and call them, you should know 3 months ago, you really offended me. Oh, really? Oh, what happened? It's going to be so complicated. And he's going to call you back and you're going to. So, and sometimes that's because I'm sensitive. And so there could be so many variables to it. So often, the first step is pushing me talking to myself. Being able to feel differently about myself. You know, sometimes you speak to someone and you can see it's half that they're basically chipped about themselves and half that they have content of what they're speaking about. A lot of it is me. And the moment I'm going to be able to say, okay, that happened. He's wrong. He's 100% wrong. But now I have to deal with that experience. His experience is part of my life. When I wake up in the morning, if I remind myself about it, I have to talk about that story. That's me right now. So when I deal with it and I say, okay, it happened. But I remind, just like that, that's why I like that story about this general. I remind myself that yes, things happen, but I'm talking to myself to be able to remind myself that I'm more. So calling him, I don't know. I don't know if you have to call everybody. I don't know. Maybe sometimes if it's someone you're close to and you stop talking to them, and there was a relationship, and you can then it's kedai to call. You say, you should just know I got over it. But probably you don't want to call. Maybe you have to meet. There's a way to do it. Maybe then maybe then it has a practical impact in me conveying that communication. But not all the time. Sometimes people call and they do more damage than not. Before Elul, people get all these phone calls. You should know. 6 years ago. So 6 years you were thinking about. There's things that I can do on my own. You know, sometimes they call, and in the name of forgiving, they're really just venting. You should know, and they go on and on and on and on and on about what you should know, and they little bit, but I forgive you. But I forgive you. So what am I getting at? So I think, and also it's hard. Even in relationships, it's hard to call. So the step that puts the onus more on me and makes it less a to-do list and more of a for real list is for me to deal with myself. To do, I can always say I call them. But if the moment I realize, hey, there's another step, what do I do about myself? I think it takes the conversation afterwards to a different level. And they're going to feel that in the tone. When you make that phone call, they realize it's coming from a different place. You can tell from a phone call if the person is being yaitze, or the person was inspired yesterday because was, or because they're coming from a new place. So really it starts with myself. And it makes it less heavy for me. The word forgive is a very heavy word. The word let go, the word he's wrong, I'm not making him right. But where am I? Start from there. Then you see a different page. Yosef didn't say the brothers were right for selling him. He never said that. He said the Eibishter made it happen. And there's a Asara Hadoget Tzadikim. There's a lot of stuff that happened later on. They have their own cheshbon. Yosef never said you guys were right. Harbi Shluchim Lamakim. Could have been through someone else. Why did you do it? Yosef said, it's not my business. You'll deal with Eibishter. You go deal with your dirty laundry. That's not my problem. I got enough dirty laundry to deal with. But you, as far as that, I'm not looking to get back to you. Someone else can get back to you. But that makes it also lighter for me. It's not like I'm a victim. And it's not like I'm giving up my right for what they did to me. No, I have a right. And they're wrong. And they trampled on me. They were wrong for doing it. But I refuse to live on their turf. My grandmother once said, they asked her, how many children do you have? And how old? Why do you have so many children? So she said, every child I have, I'm killing Hitler all over again. That's the way she put it. So you can either live life as a victim or as a victor. This is my way of being in charge. So you're not letting go of being in charge. I have no ownership of my past. The only ownership I have is my now. That's the only ownership I have. So I'm going to also give that up to him. He killed me yesterday, embarrassed me. So he's going to kill me today too? No, today I'm in charge. And you, okay, whatever. So that makes it easier, it makes it more practical. I don't have a mitzvah to go and tell everybody who did something wrong to me that they're right. No, maybe they have. There's things that they have. There's things, and maybe they're still doing it. I don't know. you kind of pick yourself up from being a recipient and you just listen and you don't get upset. There could be, in every relationship, there's going to be a space where you're going to have to allow the other person to, you don't have to always respond. You don't have to always respond. There's things that you're not going to fix everything. You're going to allow, and there's going to be a person saying things, unless it's hurtful. Hurtful is a different story. A lot of times we're irked and we're upset. Close up, and then when the person sees that you let go and you let them talk, then they're also easier when they have to respond to you. So it's my demeanor a lot of times. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense for this.
And like hurtful, meaning like say what is this hurtful? But like hurtful is somewhat subjective and somewhat meaning like sometimes something can be objectively hurtful versus like the mood I was in and I felt hurt by that. But like
I think there's an ability, and I don't want to oversimplify, but I think there's we live in America's built on the one word, rights. Everybody has a right. If you talk, I have a right. Yeah, you have a right. I have a right to be silent, I have a right to talk, I have a right to sit, I have a right to stand. That's why shuls are very complicated. Sit and stand, sit and stand. Right? Everybody has different rights. Maybe we can change the word right to the word responsibility. Yeah, I have rights. Right means expression. I can be a little bit like, take ownership, not only in whatever I want, I can do. Okay, you be quiet. Let the guy talk and be quiet. Not always do I have to feel that I have to respond and listen. And maybe there is something that the way they have to say. Everybody is a podcast today. Everybody is a podcast today. Wherever you go, people are talking, and they're there, and you have to be quiet when they have their podcast. But maybe it's time to listen. But people also listen. On the other flip side, there's people listening too. So if we look at interactions and exchanges and communication, if we let go a little bit, there's Chassidus talks about one word all the time, and I always understood why. Didn't understand why. It's a very funny word. It's called bittul, but really in English it means to listen. The ability to listen, you'll see in every subject, if it's business, personal relationships, any subject, you'll see that word come up all the time as key to connecting. I didn't listen, and I didn't listen. What does it take to listen? To listen, it doesn't mean just to stop talking. I have a line that I say, maybe you heard this before, maybe not. A little child comes home and he asks his father for his cell phone. You ever heard me say this story? He asks his father for his cell phone number. So the father says, what do you need my cell phone number? So the child says, I see that when the business people call you, you're listening very carefully on the phone. So I also want to get your number. Listening is a conscious effort that maybe there's something there precious for me to listen to. And that's what I'm talking about. In communication, we're expressing, we have rights. And the ability to listen, which really means someone else has something else there. Their story isn't an extension of my story, but their story is a real story. It sheds light and it makes things more interesting. It allows me to hear new things. It allows me to doubt my initial reaction that they're out there, whatever it may be. And it allows for the word communication to happen. So listening is part of it's part of the fancy word letting go. There's another side of the story. There's another thing going on. And I'm not in charge of everything. And it doesn't take away from me. It doesn't take away from me. It's actually very empowering. So the word hurtful usually goes with the word sensitive. So there's something in me that's always triggering me to feel hurtful. And I don't have to marinate in my hurtful feelings. I can marinate in good feelings. And I can graduate, I can deal with certain feelings if I need to deal with them. but I think that the lexicon in America has become so much of just marinating in down feelings, almost like the Elul in some places means someone says Elul, you know what Melech Basada means? Like the lion comes out to the field and is about to eat you up, and they didn't mean Melech Basada means the king's in the field, and not the lion is in the field, right? And they're different. The Melech is here to greet you, not to eat you. So people have, there's, I think, we become victim. We become like we're very powerful. We're very, very powerful. And the moment we believe in ourselves, which is what it says in Tanya. Tanya says that we have Ratzon, we have something very, very powerful. And the answer is in me more than anybody else. Then I can approach it differently. I'll approach it with less caught up in it, and I'll be able to look at it and not with it, or not attached to it, and I'll be able to deal with it differently. So that's why I said the first step is not calling the person. First step is calling myself. Chassidim used to say, I need a yechidus with myself. The famous story with Rabbi Weinreb. You ever heard the story with Rabbi Weinreb? What did the Rebbe tell him? Sometimes you got to speak to yourself. And he would talk about it and talk about it. You know, his students in YU, he had students. He used to repeat it to, he said, he repeated it to his students. A person has to talk to himself. That's what we're learning. That's the same idea, to talk to yourself. We have to talk to ourselves, not always talk to the other. We talk to yourself, and you talk differently to others too. Feel better about yourself. Yeah, don't.
Yeah. Not in public.
Not in public.
And in this conversation, we're basically bringing it back to everything that happened up until this point is in one of the Abishter made it happen. Right? Kind of like what Yosef.
Yeah, I like to say that experiences of my past. Have you ever heard someone who talks about a job that they have, or even a relationship that they have, and they trace certain experiences of their past, and they say, you know what, I went through XYZ. At the time, it was atrocious, but there's a certain quality that I got out of that experience. Maybe it's sensitivity, maybe it's this, and I take it with me until today, and I can't tell you how much that helped me in my life. You ever heard people speak like that? It doesn't make the negative that someone else did right, but it allows me to unpack my past in a different way. So that foreknowledge of looking at life, that I don't fully understand my experiences of my past yet. I have a whole lifetime to unpack them. And I will at one time, hopefully, see how it's being unpacked. That ability to pull myself back from my experiences the way I experienced them and say, I don't know, what I'm essentially saying is Eivish knows. What I'm essentially saying is there's a kavanah. I don't know. It's so easy to say this, and it's so easy to write this, and it's so hard to do this. But it's a real thing that we as adults experience as we face different circumstances. You'll hear this in a lot of people that are in social, what do they call them? Social workers. A lot of them will tell you that they had something that made them very sensitive to people, and that's why they decided to do this. Something that, and at the time, whenever it happened, they weren't so happy whatever happened. But now they attribute their sensitivity. People that are a teacher will tell you, people that a lot of different places of connection. So what does that tell you? That I really don't know yet the full impact of experiences on my psyche. I have to now unpack. It didn't take them automatic to say I attribute it to that. It took them reflection. It took them a journey. Everybody has a journey. We all have journeys. There's Mendy's Masoyas in the Midbar, and there's Mendy's Masoyas for every single Jew. Everybody looks at the other person's Masoyas and says their Masoyas is you can't understand what my in it. That's the reality. We all have Masoyas. But the ability for me to see myself, not as a Nebuch, but as a general, That's a very big step because that allows me to unpack it. That allows me to see the past in a different way. So that's, I'm not in any way saying that what people did, like the chassid, like the Christians used to slap me on one cheek and slap me another cheek. I'm not saying that. I'm simply talking to myself, talking to myself of things that, I went through. Someone, not condoning someone's negativity. And if someone's in the middle of someone doing to them something not good, obviously you have to stop it, whatever it is. I'm not, touching upon that.
One of my hobbies is a doula. And when I go visit women after they give birth, I help. The experience can be very intense. And at the end, someone could say that was so intense, it's traumatic. Or at the end, someone could say that was so intense, that was so powerful, and I'm so happy and proud that I did it. So it's the concept of unpacking could be the same experience. It's just how do you process it afterwards? I think it's a powerful concept.
Main thing is there should not be any, like I say, there should be experiences that you don't have to unpack. You should have experiences that you should immediately see, and the joy in it and the simcha in it. And everybody needs those brachas. But the key that I liked in the ball story, and that's why I shared it, is the ability of a chomei dech is a real thing. We all have brachas that we need in our life. We always think, like, what can I do? And I say this many times, taking a shir is beautiful. Going to Fabrengen is beautiful. But the real thing that we can do in our lives that can chomei decha, the currency of a chomei decha, is letting go. Internally. In this case, it was the son. But that is a powerful thing, and it's a powerful thing that David did. Because we do obviously say, oh, David again. Okay. We spoke, we took a selfie, we spoke, and we had questions and answers. And now we have to eat sushi. Anything else?
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.